Alrighty, y'all. Hello and welcome to Why Do Europeans Always Drive Manual Cars? Way more, actually, than Americans do. This is a follow-up to a poll that I did that actually is pretty eye-opening. Here in the States, it is so rare to drive a manual. We have some numbers here. So if we go to my community section, I did a poll about 10 days ago. And it says what percentage of cars sold in the USA in 2023 were manual transmissions. And 59% guessed the correct answer, which is 1.7%. 1.7% of cars sold were manuals. That's actually insane. And so it's safe to say that most Americans, especially younger Americans, don't have a clue how to drive manuals. And that's actually pretty mind-blowing. And well, I wanted to show you a couple clips. I do drive a manual. I'm trying to keep them alive. Most channels won't show you this. People who love and daily drive manuals here in the U.S. are a rare breed. How weird is that? Oh, hey there. Just want to show you something other channels won't do. Well, well, well. Would you look at that? Wait, hold on. Oh, 3 pedals. We got 3 pedals. Take that. Push the clutch in. Fire it up. Oh yeah, baby. Keeping the manuals alive in the US, guys. This might be the only one within like a 50-mile radius. So there you go. I am a proud manual owner, but unfortunately, so weird that that's rare in the US. Let's find out why automatics are so popular in the US and why manuals are still popular throughout Europe. This is from a channel called Inspire and Lead. It'll be linked in the description down below so you can watch the whole thing uninterrupted and browse their channel. Let's jump right into it.
To drive with my mother's Mini, and when I turned 18, I went to get my driving license. It was a manual
18. That probably varies by country, right? Here in the States, in most states, it's usually 16.
transmission car, like 90% of all cars in Belgium, where I live. When I turned 20, my father said I should drive his car to the restaurant we were heading for my birthday dinner. It was an automatic transmission car. A whole new world opened to me. I don't have to shift gears anymore.
That's
My
weird.
left leg is free. Wow. I didn't think about it too much, as I thought it was something additional, a luxury on a higher end car
Yeah.
to have like the Mercedes that my father had.
That's what I've heard, is that automatics are more of like a luxury item, or at least were. I think I've heard that automatics are getting a little more mainstream in some countries, but if we're talking about maybe 10 or 20 years ago, automatics were seen as like an expensive car, a more expensive option, kind of a luxury thing. I just think that's funny because even since the 80s, 90s, probably even 70s, American cars are just almost all automatics. Of course, we used to have manuals, but I don't think that was normal since maybe like the 50s or something, or 60s.
6
Pretty
months
crazy.
later, I found a company for my international internship in the land of opportunity. Okay, sorry about that. A buddy of mine and I rented a car for the first 2 weeks, and the only option available, automatic transmission.
Not surprised.
Well, okay, no problem. I drove it once, I thought, and we got it.
Yeah, I don't even think any company rents manuals here, unless you go through like an exotic car company where you rent an exotic car and maybe you can find a manual through them, but not a regular rental car, no.
Later on, we bought an old 1991 Toyota Celica GT with automatic transmission. Well, that's
Isn't that
odd, we
weird?
thought. An old car with automatic transmission. In my mind, I'm still associating automatic transition being for luxury cars, so I couldn't place it well.
That's
1 month
funny
later,
perspective to
during
me.
my internship, my boss asks to get something, and I could use his car. When he hands over the keys, he says, "Can you drive a manual transmission?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, I've got my license." And then he responded, "But this is the States, man. Not everyone can drive it." It got me thinking, what does he mean? Are Americans bad drivers?
Oh, newsflash. Are Americans bad drivers? I don't mean to be crass, but yes.
When I arrived back in the office, I asked my colleagues what kind of transmission they have in their car, and all of them answered with automatic. I was shocked.
Sounds about right.
And when I said, well, in Europe most of us drive manual transmission, one colleague responded, "Why would you? Automatic is easy. Why would anyone take the harder option?" I went away
That's such an American answer.
did some research and found out the following information. In Europe, 80% of all new cars are manual transmissions.
Wow.
Where in the States, it's around 5%.
Lower than that now.
An automatic car is, generally speaking, 1,000 to 2,000 euros more expensive.
Wow. That's actually a significant price difference. Like, you're talking about the same car. Just automatics are that much more expensive. I think there was a time, maybe a couple decades ago, where even in the States, automatics were more expensive on the build sheet as well. People just always went for them. But now is a weird time where manuals are so rare that they're actually sometimes more expensive for the manual option. In the very few cars that do come with the manual, you have to like opt for that specially, and it's more expensive than automatic because they build so many in automatics. That's like the ones they bang out of the factory, right? So you actually have to pay premium for manuals now, I feel like, from most companies, which is so weird in the US, right?
The taxes on cars are very high, especially in West Europe and Scandinavian countries where taxes can be up to 150%.
Wow.
So getting an automatic over there is a huge amount of extra money you'd
Okay.
pay.
That puts it into perspective. So it really does make a difference in the cost.
You pay an additional tax on the engine size and horsepower, which pushes the manufacturers into the smaller and lighter cars section.
That's
like
why.
an Audi A1 3-cylinder 1 litre. Where in the US, people tend to get 3-litre V6 or V8.
3-cylinder V4. What the hell is this guy riding? I don't know any maker with a V4, usually inline 4. So sorry, I got to correct that. But yeah, you guys typically always, that's why I feel like most traffic you see in Europe that I always point out in videos is, smaller hatchbacks, 3-cylinders, 4-cylinders, diesels, right? Of course, manual transmissions. It makes sense. You don't want to drive a big Chevy Suburban in France or Belgium or something because that's going to be hella expensive, not to mention fuel costs, taxes, insurance, whatever. It's crazy.
Engines. Automatic transmission is heavier than manual.
True.
Making your car weigh more, which causes more fuel consumption.
And it's less efficient.
Which is a big no-no for Europeans because the gas prices are significantly higher there.
Aha.
For example, in the US, a litre, where 1 litre is 0.264 gallons of gasoline, is about 0.81 USD.
Mm-hmm.
In Belgium, it's 1.62.
Wow, so half.
UK, it's 1.64. And Italy, it's 1.84. Driving a manual car is harder, and you need to regulate the clutch properly, or you will consume more fuel, which in proportion gets higher if you drive a V6 or V8 US car.
I always tell people, like, obviously I'm one of the only people I know, like in my whole social circle, that knows how to drive a manual. Basically, I know my parents do, which is cool. I have a couple aunts and uncles that know how. But a lot of, like, I guess friends or, like, people my age, right, family members, it's not very common, right? And there's a funny joke. I've always tried to get my wife to drive my manual cars, and she doesn't like it, and that's fine, right? But I've tried to get her to do it, and she absolutely hates it. She's intimidated by it. She doesn't like it. She thinks it's impossible. And that's how a lot of people think, at least over here. And I get that it's intimidating and a lot more involved than automatic, but it's once you do it like all the time, right? Because I've been doing it for years, it feels like second nature. I don't even have to think about it. It's quite easy. But it is still something you do think about, and that's why I think you're safer driving a manual. You're more engaged with the car. I think everything is more precise, and I think that's what makes it safer. And you have to pay attention. I always you can't be eating burgers and doing makeup and doing all these things when driving a manual. It's a lot more hard.
Instead of a V4 Euro car. The maintenance and repair costs of automatic cars are also higher compared with manual.
They are.
Europe has a dynamic topography. The continent is dominated by narrower roads, hilly areas, crowded cities, and bumpy terrains. Driving through the roads of Europe thus calls for ultimate driving experience with manual transmissions. Moving the gears up and down is more common when driving through the countryside area, hence manual offers seamless acceleration around the corners. To summarise, the differences are mostly economical and geographical reasons, not really the way how people like to drive.
So yeah, do you agree with that assessment? I think it is mostly economical, and when you factor in fuel prices and the taxes and stuff, right? When we see this breakdown, it's pretty easy to see why cars are typically smaller and manuals, and you just want something simple that's going to get the job done and not going to be killing you on taxes and fuel costs and maintenance costs. So I totally, after kind of analyzing it and seeing the big differences, I do get why the car landscape is the way it is throughout most European countries compared to the U.S. I think the U.S. is a bizarre country for car culture because typically we do love huge vehicles with big V6s, big V8s, hell, even V10s, right? We love big trucks, and yeah, there's a lot of fun cars here, and you can still have fun in an automatic, especially if it's got a lot of horsepower. But I am someone, I guess, who's different. I love a lot of the European cars, and I do videos where I look at some for sale. Like, I would love to get a really cool European car, like a Swedish car or a German car or something, right, with a manual and just have fun with it. I did get to drive a old Skoda Favorite, and that was really cool. Of course, that was manual. With a real Skoda, all the way from Europe, from the Czech Republic. Oh, I love that gear sound you can hear a little bit.
Yeah, there is the rubber cover, which makes crazy squeaking sound.
Yep. That's old cars for you, right? Oh man, she goes good. Guys, I can't believe how good this drives. And it's totally different than American cars, don't get me wrong. But I liked it. It's weird. Even after driving big V8 trucks and, muscle cars and big American land yacht cars, I still appreciate the smaller cars with small engines and manual transmissions. They're fun, and they have their own charm. And I really do like the European style of driving. But hey, I'm gonna go in the extra mile, or maybe the extra kilometer, if you want to say, in this video. I'm going to turn it over to myself. I'll do the outro in the car. So I'll see you in the car. Good feeling, isn't it? Crisp, foggy morning. I don't know why the fog's here. It's hella foggy. But, yeah, no better way to wake up. Getting that fresh morning air at a 5-speed under your feet. Many Americans miss out on this. I'm not really sure why. It's just not a thing here. As I showed you earlier in the video, on that poll, on the community post I had on my channel, only 1.8% or something crazy low like that, depending on the source, of new cars sold in the U.S. are manuals in 2023, I think. It's from last year. And I just don't get it. I feel like manuals are just better in every way. I love them. Don't get me wrong, automatics are nice to have too. And I feel like if you have the luxury of, maybe you can have two different cars, then having one manual and one automatic is the perfect scenario. Because I do love driving, my Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. That's an automatic, and I love driving it. I wouldn't want that in a manual. I'm glad it's an auto. But most of the time, I daily drive this Saturn, and it's a manual, and I feel like it's safer. This thing is super reliable, just because it's so simple, right? Small 2.2 liter engine, 4-cylinder, 5-speed, I think, what is it, Getrag manual, or Getrag. It's like a German transmission, believe it or not. It's fun to drive, right? It's not powerful, but it's fun to drive. It gets insane gas mileage, fuel mileage, and it's so easy. The clutch just goes, the gears just go. You never have to worry about it messing up because you're in control. Super durable, super simple, and they're cheaper, right? Especially in older cars. So again, Most of Europe drives manuals still, and I applaud you guys for that. I think that's the smart thing to do. I think it's awesome. Over here in the US, it's one of the things that I just inherently disagree with. The fact that most Americans, especially modern day, younger Americans, don't know how to drive manual anymore. It's a dying art form, and I think that's kind of sad. But I guess it is what it is. I guess over here we can hope for just older people that drove manuals growing up, maybe when they were more common, and or enthusiasts like me to keep the manuals alive. Because let me tell you, I'm never getting rid of this. So they're gonna have to pry the manuals out of my hands, because I'm always gonna have at least one. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I would love to hear your take down below on manual versus automatic. At the end of the day, they both have their place. But I love manuals, and I just wish they were way more common here in the US. It's really weird that they're not. I appreciate you guys for watching this interactive reaction video that you can find on my channel sometimes. I like, you know, switching it up like this, offering a unique style. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Hope to see you in the next one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.